Steve here from Tech Toy Tinker and Retro Arena. I'm doing another quick video to show you guys the progress on the A.R.E.S build of A.R.E.S, which is Ubuntu 20 long term. I'm just going to jump right into it. So, you probably can't see because it's dark, but I'm using the built-in controllers here. Left and right joystick will both navigate the menu. Just a heads up, this is a really early in development build. It's not available to the public yet at all. The volume keys are working as well. You get the idea. As I said in the video for the AMD or the x86, x64 build, A.R.E.S will be finishing what's missing in this theme for us. I think I have the BIOS set up. I'll show you something else really cool that you can do too, because this is a USB stick bootable build. This is running off of USB right now. I still have Windows installed on the internal, and I was able to access all of its contents. So everything's set up in Windows. I got my emulation station built there, but I'm also able to connect in from Linux on the USB stick, and I'm able to get access to my games and BIOS files and everything that way as well. Just kind of a neat thought if you want to play with Ubuntu and don't want to have to put it on your internal memory. You can run it from USB here and still have access to all of your Windows files as well.
Jet Set Radio! Somewhere in Asia, there's a city that cannot be found on any map called Tokyo, but everyone just calls it Tokyo. The two hottest things in the...
Also, when you boot this up and play with it, you won't see the console behind popping up like you are here. You're only seeing that because I exited out of emulation station and then relaunched it via the console, because I mounted everything and I haven't scripted that in. I just manually mounted it. Literally, though, what I did was I figured out where my Windows drive was. So basically, you navigate through File Manager you open the console, type in sudo nautilus, find out which drive is your Windows drive, navigate to the exact folder you need, right-click on that folder and click Open in Terminal, and it will give you the link or the full path location to what that is. Then you go to Home, Tech Toy Tinker A.R.E.S, delete your ROMs and your BIOS folder, and then reopen the terminal from there, and you type sudo ln -s, and then you type the path to, or you control or copy paste the path, I guess, to ROMs, and then another space /home/techtoytinker/A.R.E.S/ROMs, and it will just link that instead from your Windows over. You can do this, of course, in something like crontab instead. So this way, when you boot, it automatically does this. This would allow you to just jump back and forth between Linux and Windows and maintain all of your games and everything. Steam is also booting up here from what I've seen, so I haven't deeply tested it yet, but it is working. PS2 does work, but only Play 2 is installed. I highly recommend that you use the setup menu and you install PCSX2. I'll show you the setup menu shortly. Oh, I'm missing a BIOS file. Our BIOS checker is incredibly picky. Now, some of these BIOS aren't even necessary to run all the games, only certain regions, but it wants them anyways. And it will make you put them in there or it won't boot. It's stubborn, but it's useful. As you can see, there's quite a lot of systems here. This works, and so does this, but I don't give you guys BIOS files. Everyone knows that. So you're gonna have to figure that out on your own. So, as you can see, there's a large number of things that are working and ready here. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. As you can see, though, this is all working pretty well. No serious issues. It kind of goes to show you that it really doesn't matter whether you're running Windows or Linux. In terms of retro emulation, they're both going to do their job fine. Especially on a device like this that's actually got some real horsepower to it as well. Now, in the options menu here, there's Retro Arena Setup. You want to use this to... Well, the difference between this and the previous handheld builds is because this has the full distro, you can actually just go in here and you can update your... anything, really. You can update RetroArch, you can update your cores, you can update anything you want. And so this is where you'd go to install PlayStation 2. I'll show you what I mean here. It is faster with a keyboard, but you want to scroll down to here and do this. And then just install. Or, optionally, I mean, I'm going to include it in the next build because I don't want to install from the precompiled binary because it's probably a year old. I'm going to recompile it manually from source and then include it in the build that way. So if you want to just hold off for now, and I mean, you still have other options, it's just that the first one I just showed you is still the best one. Also, back in here, RetroArch is here as well. .1914, latest version. And you can, like I said, manually update that yourself as well. Now, what are the downsides? Well, because the driver for this here MediaTek all-in-one Bluetooth Wi-Fi is really new and it's not yet available in Linux, there's some custom workarounds that have to be done in order to enable the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module. So that currently is not working. Also, some of the buttons aren't properly mapped yet. If you push the keyboard button, nothing happens. The escape button still it's working properly. You can use start and select as you would use start and select. When you press the button that used to, I think it was bringing up the menu for Control Alt Delete and whatnot. It brings up the search bar now. The button below that is for logging out. But the keyboard button does nothing. I have to rebind that one still. Escape still works as escape. And all of the buttons, or the two buttons on the most left side I should say, are also not yet enabled. Other than the Wi-Fi and a few of the buttons, though, everything is working. The controller is working. I've included XPad and Xbox 360 drivers. Kodi is working as well. Let me see if I can just get to it from here. I have a mouse plugged in, but the touchscreen also works. You can... So the touchscreen is working. There is a virtual keyboard as well. I could do that. Steam does take a minute to load. It's not an instant process. There's a few things that happen in the back end first. It's also largely untested. I mean, I've obviously booted it and whatnot, but I haven't really downloaded a bunch of stuff and played with it. I just haven't had that much time yet. Also here, you can see the contents of your Windows. I don't recommend you make any massive changes. I mean, you could probably add a text file or things like that, but you shouldn't make massive changes to your Windows OS from Linux. That's not a good idea. Linking to your game files and stuff like that isn't a huge deal, though. And I suspect through Lutris and Wine and things like that, you might also be able to directly access your Windows games to run them on Linux. Also, Steam will help with that process, too. But see, if you right-click here and you go to Open in Terminal, it doesn't, I mean... Yeah, I guess it doesn't help now that I mounted it. But that's how you get access to it. Or that's how I did anyway. I went here, I went home, created a folder named Mount. And so if you open a terminal and you type sudo fdisk -L, it will show you all of your drives and partitions and yada yada. Now obviously NVMe is your Windows drive, and if you look, this one right here is 941 gigabytes. So that's very clearly the chunk that's dedicated to storage and where all your files are. So from this point, I may as well just show you guys how I did it. It's easier. So you want to be deleting your ROMs in your BIOS folder. And then with ROMs and BIOS deleted, you want to type sudo ln-s home/tectoytinker/mount /emulationstation/ROMs. And then obviously you want to change that exact same command. I'll move this down a little bit. You're going to change that command to BIOS for BIOS. And I do know that I skipped a step and I just realized it, and I'll explain that other one in a minute. This is the one that you use for BIOS. Sudo ln-s home tectoytinker mount emulation station BIOS space home tectoytinker A.R.E.S BIOS, and A.R.E.S and BIOS are capitalized. Now the step that I skipped. So you saw how I copied, and I told you to make that mount folder, right? So here's mount. You want to go sudo mount. And then that's what you copied before, and then just type /mount. If you're not in the directory where mount is, then you would do and that would be how you would mount that. Now, if you go ahead and you deleted your BIOS and ROMs folder and you did mount them from your Windows on your NVMe, you can also type in crontab -E, which will open crontab, and then you press page down or scroll down to the very bottom of the page where there's just blank space, and you type @reboot space and then this command right here. And what this will do is it will automatically mount when you turn on your device, and that way you don't have to repeat this every time, and it'll just automatically work when you run your USB Ubuntu image. So that's going to about do it for this video. It went on a little bit longer than I intended it to, but it's because I ended up showing you guys how some stuff works at the same time. I showed you Kodi already. Firefox you can get into as well. It takes a moment to load, but it does that even on my PC. I haven't tried Netflix yet, but because this is a PC-based device more than it is like an ARM-based handheld or anything, I'm 99% sure that you just install the Widevine DRM and follow the tutorial for PC and it will work fine. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.